65% of businesses fail after the first 10 years of operation. So if you don't want to be just another depressing statistic, here are the top 10 most common legal mistakes that could be silently ruining your business. Starting at number 1. Failing to register the business properly. Now, a lot of young entrepreneurs make the mistake of not registering their business properly because they don't realize how important it is. They might think that it's just a formality or try to save money, but skipping this step can lead to personal liability, tax issues, and legal problems. They also might be overwhelmed by the paperwork or just too focused on their product. Proper registration not only protects you, but also helps you build a solid foundation for growth. If you're starting your business, make sure you register it properly right from the beginning. Do some research on the legal requirements in your area, pick the right business structure, and get any permits you might need. It's a good idea to talk to a lawyer or accountant to make sure everything's in order. And don't forget about insurance. It'll protect you from potential legal headaches and give you peace of mind while you focus on growing your business. But an LLC is not the end-all be-all of liability protection. So many young entrepreneurs forget about an important caveat to this, which is insurance. Besides setting up the proper legal structure for your business, so you're not found liable for the wrongdoings of your business, you also need to have insurance in case some bad stuff does come up. It might seem like a small thing, but it'll get pretty big pretty fast. But before we tell you more about the second most common legal mistake that businesses make, don't forget to like this video if you'd enjoyed it so far. Next, at number 2, neglecting IP protection. Neglecting intellectual property, or IP protection, is a common mistake because a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize how crucial it is to protect their ideas. When you start out, it's easy to think that your product or brand is too small or not unique enough to attract attention. Or you might assume that getting IP protection is too complicated or expensive. But the truth is, your ideas, designs, and inventions are your business's most valuable assets. And without proper protection, someone else can easily steal or copy them. To avoid this, it's important to register your IP early on, whether it's a trademark for your brand, a patent for a unique product, or a copyright for your content. And don't hesitate to consult with an IP lawyer to make sure that you're covering all your bases. Now, it's not just about preventing theft, though. It's about establishing trust with your customers and building long-term brand value. Protecting your intellectual property can really give you a competitive edge and help you stay ahead in the market. Think about it. How can your customers trust your brand when your identity can be stolen or copied by anyone? Now at number 3, we've got confusing contracts. Imagine this. You just have landed a big client and you've agreed on the project details over a coffee. Everything seems great, but when it's time for them to pay or deliver on their side of the deal, there's confusion. They argue that the terms weren't clear or that they misunderstood what you expected. Without a clear contract, you've got no solid ground to stand on. This could lead to a lot of back and forth and even legal disputes down the road. This is one of the most common and costly mistakes that a small business can make. Not having a clear contract leaves room for misunderstandings, which can hurt your reputation and finances. If payment terms, deadlines, or deliverables aren't spelled out in writing, people can argue that they didn't agree to your terms, and you could end up spending money on legal fees or losing out on what you're owed. But here's the thing. Fixing this doesn't have to cost you a fortune. A really affordable option is using online contract templates or contract creation tools that are available for a small fee. These are often customizable to fit your specific business needs. For even better peace of mind, you can consult a lawyer once to review your contracts, making sure you're protected in all the right areas without paying for constant legal advice. Having clear contracts might take a little time up front, but it'll save you a lot of hassle and money in the long run. Number 4, employees versus independent contractors. Think of it like this. If you're running a restaurant and hire someone to help out in the kitchen, it's like deciding if they're a full-time employee or just someone you bring in as a contractor for a couple of shifts. At first glance, it might seem easier to label them as a contractor and avoid the hassle of paying benefits or taxes. But if they actually fit the criteria of an employee and you misclassify them, that can mean big trouble down the road. Misclassifying employees as independent contractors is one of the biggest mistakes that businesses make because it can lead to hefty fines, back taxes, even lawsuits. Plus, it can damage your relationship with workers who may feel that they're being taken advantage of or denied benefits like health insurance or paid leave. Not to mention, it looks bad if the government comes knocking because you didn't follow the rules. To avoid making this mistake without draining your budget, I'd start by checking out the guidelines from the IRS or your local labor department. They've got all the info you need to see what qualifies someone as an employee versus a contractor. You can also find affordable resources online to help make sense of it all. And if you're unsure, a one-time consultation with an employment lawyer can make sure you're doing things right. It might take a little time up front, but again, it'll save you a lot of money and headache later on. Now, next up at number 5, we've got non-compliance with regulations. Now, you've just launched your small business and everything's going great, but then out of nowhere you get hit with some hefty fine because you didn't follow a local health and safety regulation that you weren't even aware of. Suddenly, that fine takes a huge chunk out of your profits and makes you rethink your whole approach. That's what happens when businesses neglect to comply with regulations, and is one of the biggest legal mistakes that you can make. Non-compliance can lead to fines and lawsuits and even force you to shut down, especially if you're not keeping up with local, state, or federal rules. It's easy to overlook, especially when you're busy running your day-to-day operations, but not following regulations, it can cost way more in the long run than just staying on top of them. And the good news? Well, avoiding this mistake doesn't have to cost a fortune. You can start by subscribing to free or low-cost resources from government websites that update you on the latest regulations. Many local business associations can offer compliance tips and advice without breaking the bank. Now, if you want extra peace of mind, you can get a lawyer to do a one-time review of your business and make sure that you're following all the right rules. It's all about staying proactive and saving yourself from big legal headaches down the road. Common legal mistake number 6 is defamation and libel. Remember the defamation and libel case between Johnny Depp and the Sun newspaper? Well, Depp sued for libel against the newspaper after they called him a wife-beater in an article, which led to a massive public battle. It cost both sides millions of dollars in legal fees and damaged Depp's career and reputation. This is a perfect example of how defamation and libel can cause huge damage to a business or individual. For businesses, it's risky. One false claim about your company, whether it's a review, a social media post, or a news article, and it can completely ruin your reputation and lead to a costly legal battle. If someone accuses you of something false, you might lose customers, face legal fees, and struggle to rebuild trust with the public. The good news is you can avoid this kind of mess. First, be careful about what you say or publish, especially online. Handle negative comments or reviews professionally, and don't retaliate with false statements. It's also a good idea to work with a lawyer to draft disclaimers for your website and social media pages to make sure everything you post is legally sound. If you're ever unsure about a statement that you want to make publicly, it's worth getting a legal review. Keeping your reputation intact means avoiding these potential legal headaches down the road. At number 7, we've got data and privacy breaches. In 2017, a major firm called Equifax fell victim to a gigantic data breach. Hackers accessed the personal info of about 147 million people, including social security numbers and birth dates. That breach cost Equifax over $700 million in settlements and penalties. Plus, it completely tanked its reputation. It's a perfect example of how mishandling data can lead not just to legal headaches, but massive financial losses too. For businesses, failing to protect customer data is a huge risk. Data privacy breaches are not just about losing personal info, but they also come with hefty fines, lawsuits, and a serious loss of trust. With data privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA, you're required to follow strict rules about how you collect, store, and use personal data. If you don't, you could face big penalties and damage to your brand in the process. So how can businesses avoid this? Well, start by using strong encryption to protect sensitive data. Keep your security systems up to date and train your employees on best practices for data handling. Having a clear privacy policy that complies with regulations is crucial too. If you're unsure, working with a data protection lawyer or a cybersecurity expert can help you stay on top of your data privacy game. It might seem like a lot of work, but protecting your customers' information is worth it to avoid the kind of damage that companies like Equifax faced. Next up at number 8 is a lack of due diligence. Lack of due diligence in a business is like buying a used car without checking the engine or history. Yeah, you might get lucky, but more often than not, you're going to end up with a lemon. That's what happens when businesses skip due diligence. It's easy to rush things, whether it's a new partnership, investment, or acquisition, but not doing the proper research can lead to big financial or legal problems down the line. You might discover hidden issues like bad financials or shady practices that you didn't see coming. The good news is, though, that avoiding this mistake doesn't have to be expensive. Start by doing your own research. Check out online resources, business directories, and financial reports to get a better understanding of who you're working with. There are tons of affordable due diligence checklists available online to guide you through the process. If you feel unsure about something, you can always get a lawyer or accountant to review things just once. And that's usually pretty affordable. Taking these small steps up front could save you a lot of headaches and money down the road. Are you seeing a pattern here? Now, at number 9, we've got tax and labor obligations. If you're unaware of tax and labor obligations locally, then it won't be long before you get yourself in a muck. Now, once you get a letter from the IRS saying that you missed some tax filings and your payroll system now isn't in line with local labor laws, that's when things start heading south. Suddenly, you're going to be hit with fines and penalties you never saw coming. This is a common mistake, being unaware of local tax and labor obligations. It can cost a lot more than you think. The thing is, tax laws and labor regulations change from place to place, and they're easy to overlook. Businesses might misclassify employees, forget to report certain income, or miss out on important benefits that could end up costing them later. But the good news is you don't have to spend a fortune to avoid this mistake. You can usually start by checking out the free resources from your local tax authority or labor department. They've usually got guides and updates that can help you stay compliant. Plus, there are affordable software tools that can help with tracking tax filings and employee benefits. If you're unsure about anything, a one-time consultation with a tax pro or lawyer can save you from much bigger headaches down the road. Getting it right from the start can save you a lot of time, money, and stress later on. And lastly, but not least, at number 10, omitting the business plan. Look, you've got a great idea for a business and dive right in. You're full of excitement, but a few months later, things start to get messy. You're missing deadlines, you're spending more than you should, and you're not sure how to handle a dispute with the partner. What happened? Well, without a solid business plan, you don't have a clear strategy to guide you. This is a common mistake. Many entrepreneurs skip creating a business plan, thinking it's unnecessary or just for securing funding. But really, it's a roadmap to your success. Without that plan, you're just flying blind, and you might run into legal issues or missteps that could have been avoided. A good business plan helps you define your goals, financial projections, and how you'll deal with challenges. It also keeps you organized and focused, preventing costly mistakes along the way. The solution is simple. Take the time to create a business plan. You don't have to hire a fancy consultant. There are plenty, and I mean plenty, of free templates and guides online to help you get started. Even if it is just a basic plan, it'll help you stay on track and avoid unnecessary legal headaches. Plus, having one will make you feel more confident in your decisions and ensure that you're moving in the right direction. Every successful business plan needs to clearly explain your business idea, what you're offering, and who your target audience is. You should outline your market research, financial projections, and how you plan to stand out from competitors. And don't forget about your team, marketing strategy, and potential risks. And that way you can stay focused and prepared for anything. Now, these are just the basics. You can get as complex or simple as you want.